Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video tells you all about the astrology of February 2024. There'll be such a lot of huge energies running during February 2024, but they're energies with very different natures. Energies which will affect us on radically different levels of our personalities, our souls, our karmic unfoldment. So see the charts for the February new and full moon and the ephemeris of planet positions in both Vedic astrology and Western astrology, plus a magnificent summary of planet and asteroid movements during February 24, all on my Star Wheel Astrology February 2024 month page on my Star Wheel Astrology website. You can get a reading from me also via my Star Wheel Astrology website, and there's detail of the wonderful courses I teach also on the Star Wheel Astrology website. Okay, so let's go now into the detail of the astrology of February 24. And note that the planets are described in this video using the sidereal zodiac, the Vedic astrology zodiac. And I need to focus first of all on what is probably your key issue, which is the nodes of the moon transit in February 2024. I think the overall most important transit to be aware of is that of the nodes of the moon, especially if you have a planet in Vedic Virgo or Pisces. Rahu, the north node, transits from 25 Pisces to 23 Pisces. Ketu, the south node, transits from 25 Virgo to 23 Virgo. And just a note, Rahu entered Pisces on the 30th of October 23 and will enter Aquarius on the 17th of May 25. Ketu entered Virgo on the 30th of October 23 and will enter Leo on the 17th of May 25. Now, the effect of Rahu and Ketu transiting through a sign in our chart is huge. So be aware first of all of the sign that the node is transiting through. But that will considerably affect the prevailing energy we're getting of the planet that rules the sign. So the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. The ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. They will be massively affected by the energy of Ketu and Rahu. Now, Ketu, south node, transiting through Virgo, well, probably the key demand that you need to be aware of is that Virgo is the sign of health, healing, and right living. It's got a critical nature, and we all need to beware being overcritical. Be nice if Virgos did that. And it's also very sensitive. Virgos orientated to service, and they're usually over-subordinate in relationship. And that can indeed cause such problems for the relationship if it isn't mutually addressed. That one person isn't being pushed into over-subservience. Rahu, the north node, is transiting through Pisces. Pisces, at its best, has a mystical, intuitive, visionary and creative nature, but it is often at the mercy of life. Take a note absolutely also of the house that is Virgo or Pisces in your birth chart, for that will define the area of life that the karmic and fated nodal transit will most affect. Be aware of that. So if, for example, Virgo is your third house, well, what will be affected is your creative effort, your self-expression, your sibling issues, your motivation, will, passion expression and main interest expression. For a full list of the life areas for each of the 12 houses, see my Star Wheel Astrology Houses Interpretation page on the website. But of course the big thing is, although we need to know the formula about signs, houses and rulers and the nature of planets, we must also be prepared to break out of the formula. Astrology formula is often a useful signpost. Some of the formula's nonsense, but don't let the formula be a prison. Don't let it become a case of subordination to guru, because that will put you out of touch with the truths of yourself and out of touch with possibilities of healing and empowering, ways of healing and empowering. Okay. By the way, I should have said there's a blog post associating with this video, and you know it's pretty extensive, 10 pages long, and it gives you loads of useful reference information. So the key thing is to absolutely make a note of the planets and asteroids you have in Virgo, which will now be affected, regardless of what degree Virgo, by Ketu energies. And obviously they're most affected, the closer that Ketu is to an exact conjunction with your natal planet in Virgo. And also, of course, be so aware of the planets and asteroids you have in Pisces, where Rahu is transiting. And as I said, each one of those planets will be affected by Rahu all the time of the 18-month nodal transit through Virgo Pisces. But of course, most centrally, near the date of the exact transit of Rahu over your planet. It is the truth that the energy of each node is like a billowing cloud of energy. Their effect is actually wider than one sign. The sign they transit through. I've found it can affect a planet that's sort of halfway into the next sign. And this is important to know when interpreting your natal chart, as well as when you're interpreting the current transits. So be very aware now of the sign, house and planets that Ketu and Rahu will transit at this time. And be aware that Ketu transits are even huger than Rahu transits. So do get a reading from me if you're experiencing a Ketu or Rahu transit over one or more of your planets now. And of course the reading will include the life areas affected, for example by the house this transit falls in. And most crucially, how the whole experience fits into the unfoldment of your karmas, destinies, fates and life scripts, and what their potential healing needs to be, and how their potential healing can, the right method for it can be identified and then done and achieved. Above all, please notice that Ketu activates your past life issues, your past life karmas and your ancestral issues. Up to the 30th of October last year, I was having my nodal return, Ketu transiting across, my natal Ketu in Libra, Rahu transiting across my natal Rahu in Aries. And the incredible thing was that 3 people came from nowhere because they were moved, they didn't know how, to find me, to contact me and give me a past life reading. And the 3 past life readings were so valuable, and they were spread over the last 3,400 years-ish, and each one of them amazingly were on the same theme in my life. And indeed, that involved my Mars being conjunct Chiron and my Venus being opposite Lilith. And for example, I absolutely do have to tell you that, I had a wonderful first tutor in Vedic astrology, and he said, oh, Mars is your best planet, it's in Scorpio, the sign it rules. But my Mars is conjunct Chiron. Well, these 3 past life readings sort of brought out past lives to do with, the unfoldment of my Chiron Mars, my Lilith Venus. And the amazing thing was that when I used one of the wonderful divisional charts of Vedic astrology, where each divisional chart says something supremely so special about a particular area of our life that we so need to know, when I moved Mars and Lilith into the divisional charts, exactly the scenario came out, for example, in the D2 horror chart, that was the central focus of those 3 past life readings. I mean, incidentally, my wife does past life readings online, and she did one which was for a much older period of time, when indeed that script had yet to start running. And then, of course, you have to find out ways of healing these deep karmic issues. And that's not so easy, and it isn't quick. But I feel I made some progress. And I also did ancestral healing at this time and learned a great deal, yes, about my ancestral issues, but also how our ancestors shouldn't be criticised and need to be honoured, even though they can get things terribly wrong. And I built an ancestral altar. So do get a reading from me if these experiences to do with the nodal transits of Ketu in Virgo and Rahu in Pisces are happening for you. It's necessary to get a reading and then to do the healings and hear what healings are possible. I mean, here's some examples. Ketu or Rahu transit over your moon is huge and serious. Especially get a reading for me if you have this, especially if you're also in Sade Sate. That's the period when Saturn transits through the sign before your moon, the sign of your moon, and the sign after your moon. A Ketu transit over your sun can change your personality. And it can bring in specific past life related issues into an unexpected and needed healing, huge life churning process. Ketu transit to Mars is actually dangerous, for example, for accident. And well, I can just tell you that I had one November 22, and I was pressured by the local surgery to have a coronavirus injection on the same day as a flu injection, and I weakly agreed, knowing indeed that K2 was transiting my Mars. And I had, the most terrible, illness resulting from weakly agreeing to the 2 injections on the same day. It took me ages to get better. In fact, I had to move into herbal medicine to get out of the whole coronavirus injection debilitation that I was suffering for a couple of years. Now, Rahu transits call you to be ambitious, essentially to develop your spiritual potentials and your karmic demands. And Ketu, though, is even stronger than Rahu transit and always demands that you make spiritual growth. So if we look at where Rahu is transit, where you look at the house that is Pisces in your Vedic birth chart, and you have to ask yourself, what do I want to achieve now? Rahu's transit there can create success. But do you know what you want to achieve? And is your want in accord with your life purpose? I definitely urge you to do that piece of vision work and self-inquiry this month. And of course, Ketu's transit through Virgo, well, ask yourself, in vision work, I would say, what past life karmas are affecting me now? Do a journey and see what rises in your mind, and then work to heal them if they're negative and to utilize them if they're positive. And it's the same, check out what your ancestral issues are doing to you now at this time of this Ketu transit through Virgo. How are they affecting your optimum healing? Because the great call of the Ketu through Virgo transit is to optimize your healing and your health expression. I would say, don't sort of forget to do these journeys. I do one journey a week, and wonders come up to it. Okay, let's move on to item number 2, Uranus transit in Aries. Now, Uranus turned direct on the 27th of January after a very long retrograde. So Uranus starts February at 24 Aries and ends February at 25 Aries. And Uranus will enter Taurus on the 1st of June 24. Okay, what's Uranus energy? Well, Uranus is revolution. It's the storming of the Bastille. It's the independence of the USA from British oppression. Uranus is visionary, leadership, pioneering energy, assertive new beginnings. Has your needed revolution been dampened down during the Uranus retrograde period just ending? Uranus is action. Take note of the house or life area Uranus is in now, in Aries, and especially see what revolution you need to bring to that life area. And take a glance forward, because Uranus moves into your natal Taurus on the 1st of June. How are you going to bring your revolution forward as Uranus enters the next house, which is Taurus? So I would say be sure to examine your body and mind for the personality area, the life area, the life direction or spiritual direction, where the current of Uranus, the revolution bringer, is actually flowing for you now. What revolution are you needing and called for now? How can you bring it in? What is your revolution area? What is your revolution current now? Do a vision journey, and thereafter do one a week. Include in that journey, focus on your needed revolution, its nature, and how you're handling it or neglecting it. Okay, item 3, Jupiter in Aries. Like Uranus, Jupiter is in Aries. So Jupiter starts February at 13 Vedic Aries and ends February at 17 Aries. So Jupiter in Aries is active, expansive, principled, cordial. But there's a very important twist to the tale, a Parivartana yoga. Yes, Jupiter is in Aries, ruled by Mars, but Mars is transiting in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter.